everybody. So today's video is being published on this day specifically for a reason. In the past, today has been dedicated to a certain fictional character's birthday. But you know what we're not gonna do on the 31st of July? We are not going to ignore the pain that a certain author has put the trans community through. We are not going to ignore trans voices in favor of a millionaire whose series started over 20 years ago and who has been given way too many chances when it comes to supporting the trans community. We're not going to do that. So, on bookstagram, the lovely BW Reviews blog, Caidyn, and Chronically Reading, Kelsey, have challenged readers to reclaim this day with a trans Ownvoices book stack. I'm hoping to show off some of the gorgeous stories that I have on my physical and digital shelves right now, as well as some of the books that I am waiting to receive from Boston's only Black-owned bookstore. Plus, Caidyn shared some recommendations that I will link in the bio. So it's just an Instagram post with a bunch of slides about different categories of trans lit, and I think it is so much work and that it is such an amazing collection and resource to go back to. So without any further ado, let's just jump right in. So first things first, this is gonna be a surprise to no one. This is a book I recommend to everyone. It is the sweetest summer romance written by Caidyn Calendar. In an interview with Publishers Weekly, Calendar talks about the personal reasons behind writing Felix Ever After. They say, even though as a kid I often wanted to be a boy and wished that I could reincarnate as a boy in my next life, I never really knew it was an option or understood the terms transgender and non-binary. It wasn't until I was watching Degrassi: The Next Generation that the character Adam explained his identity in a way that made a major light bulb go off in my head. I began to question my gender identity, and a year or so later I began my social and physical transition. I'll link the whole interview down below, as well as Caidyn's resources, because I think it's just absolutely amazing to want to perpetuate that feeling of being seen and that feeling of being able to understand yourself better through fiction and through entertainment. That's incredible. And Caidyn Calendar has really taken that to the next level with their work. Also, the whole piece in which Caidyn, I just quoted them, is 6 different LGBTQ children's and YA authors. So it's a great read. And I have a whole video specifically for Felix Ever After. And I've mentioned it so many times at this point that I'm not going to go too much into that in this video. But I live for and love Felix Love and his story. And more intersectionality and Ownvoices need to be on the bestsellers list. Please. So the next book I picked it up from More Than Words, which is my favorite secondhand bookshop in Boston, without knowing that it was written by a trans author. So as much as it's important for readers to be actively seeking Ownvoices lit and to do our own research and find the books that are written by the people who have the most to say and the most perspective in their own identity, I think bookstores and publishers definitely need to do their own part in a way that they haven't really yet. I'm really thankful for More Than Words for introducing me to Charlie Jane Anders, because I want to read everything that she has published. It all sounds amazing. I am on a huge sci-fi and fantasy kick right now, so I'm buying more books. I'm buying her books. This one is, it sounds really exciting. So it's like a magic versus science showdown with star-crossed lovers thrown in. And yeah, I mean, what more do you need? That sounds amazing. And okay, so I couldn't find too much current info on Charlie Jane Anders, but Wikipedia says that she runs her podcast with partner Annalie Newitz, who uses they, them pronouns, and I think that partner refers to like coupley, and they have some really cute photos together, so I'm assuming they're still on good terms even if they're no longer together, but I think they are. Anyways, I also want to read their work, so new podcast to listen to? I think yes, it is called oh no, I just had come on, what have I done? Our Opinions Are Correct is the title of that podcast, which is a very fun title as well. So on audio, I am really excited for Fairest by Meredith Talusan. Where did I put that? So I have this on the Volumes app from Penguin Random House. They offer certain books for advanced listening copies, and I downloaded this one as soon as I saw it. So this is described as a coming-of-age memoir of a Filipino boy with albinism whose story travels from an immigrant childhood to Harvard to a gender transition and illuminates the illusions of race, disability, and gender. So again, huge intersectionality. It's from Meredith's own perspective. She reads the book, her story. I just think it's such a unique story as well, and I've seen some really great like early reviews, so I'm very, very excited. I'm excited about all of these. I saw something today about how the more you read fiction from Ownvoices, BIPOC authors, diverse voices of any way you shake it, the more other books feel kind of boring, and that feels so true. Because like I don't want to read someone who's exactly like me. Like I don't think my life is particularly exciting, so you know, if you disagree, please continue watching me on YouTube, but I hope you disagree. But when it comes to fiction, like these kind of stories are more important. I'm probably not putting this into words correctly, but here we are. So then on NetGalley, I was just approved for Cemetery Boys by Caidyn Thomas, who is, on their website, it says, as a queer trans Latinx, Caidyn advocates strongly for diverse representation in all media, which, big mood, hugely agree. They use they, them pronouns, and their debut will be published on September 1st. And in this debut, basically Cemetery Boys sounds like the most fun, supernatural, like reluctant allies to lovers story that has ever existed. So we have our main character is Yadriel, and I'm probably saying that wrong, but their traditional Latinx family doesn't really fully support his true identity, so he wants to prove himself. And the way that he decides to prove himself is through summoning a ghost, and shenanigans ensue when it's not like this, it's not the ghost he meant to summon, instead it's the ghost of the recently deceased like school bad boy. So like sign me up. Sign me up. And then I have two orders that I'm waiting on. The first is All Boys Aren't Blue, which is a memoir manifesto from George M. Johnson, which sounds amazing. And I've been seeing this as well on bookstagram because it is a YA memoir that kind of pushes the boundaries of gender and preconceptions and stereotypes and feels very personal, is what I've been seeing. Other than that, I don't know too much about it, which is kind of my favorite way to go into books, honestly, if I haven't read too much about what to be expecting. It's important in like knowing, again, doing your research and being able to find books by authors that maybe are getting less push from publishers, but who are absolutely incredible. So here we go. I've done a little bit of research. I've had Bookstagram helping me out because a lot of people are doing a little bit of research, if not a lot of research. And yeah, very excited to read that one when it arrives. And then the other one I'm waiting on has a trans main character, but upon that little bit of research, I don't think it actually is Ownvoice. I think it's written by an ally. Please let me know if you know for sure. And this book is The Raven Tower by Anne Leckie. Two other books on my shelf that are written by non-binary authors or authors who use they, them pronouns are River Solomon, who I'm really excited for, both this one and the paperback copy that I pre-ordered of The Deep, because it's gorgeous and I've been meaning to read that book for a while anyways, and paperbacks are my jam. This is more, you know, inclusive sci-fi because diversifying sci-fi is so important. I've been talking about that on Bookstagram a lot. I have like this huge stack about how I'm trying to diversify these genres that I really love, but that are predominantly white and heteronormative and like gender conforming. So reading things like An Unkindness of Ghosts and All the Birds in the Sky and all of the N.K. Jemisin books that I have purchased and I'm devouring, and even like many things. If you want to go see the, not even the full list, but like a stack of books that come at sci-fi and fantasy from different angles so that we can combat it and make it a more interesting shape, a more inclusive genre. That's on Bookstagram. So those two, very excited for River Solomon, and pretty much anything they write I plan to be picking up. And then the second one is Magic for Liars by Sarah Gailey. And this is also another author whose work I plan to be purchasing many of. They have a new book coming out soon. I think it's called The Echo Wife as well. So fingers crossed I get approved for that on NetGalley because it sounds really interesting. It deals with cloning and ideas of personhood, I believe. Anyways. Oh, specifically, so Magic for Liars sounds really interesting for me because Ivy Gamble is the main character. She Ivy is a twin, and Tabitha ended up with all of the magic and is now a teacher at a magic school, while Ivy doesn't have any drop of magic in her and instead is a private eye, a detective, like a private detective. So Ivy gets called upon to go investigate a murder at the magic school, and I think it sounds incredibly fun. So pick this one up instead of the books that are not being named in this video. Okay, like I mentioned at the beginning, I will be linking Caidyn's amazing list of other books written by trans authors in the description, as well as the article from Publishers Weekly that features Caidyn calendar. Please leave your favorite Ownvoices, narratives, work, short stories, anything in the comments below so we can continue to kind of uplift this part of our reading and writing community and listen to trans voices in every way that we can. Reminder, trans people are more important than fictional wizards written by bigots.